This is Nick Fuentes, famously not too long ago said, "Your body, my choice." He's the guy that started that whole meme. Nick Fuentes, he's a Nazi, full-blown Hitler-loving Nazi. And he went on Alex Jones to debate whether Hitler was good, believe it or not. Alex Jones is on the side of Hitler bad. So I want to listen to a little bit of their debate here. Yeah, let's just start from the beginning here.
I don't like Adolf Hitler. I don't like Mao Zedong. I don't like Joseph Stalin or V.I. Lenin. I don't like the ADL and their incredible authoritarianism, and I've been pushing really hard to stop them destroying our First Amendment. But, you know, you can dislike Hitler and also dislike the ADL in my worldview, and I know it's the naughty.
Actually, I don't like the ADL either. I think they're absolutely terrible, like really bad. They believe that any criticism of the country of Israel is anti-Semitism, but that's not why Alex Jones hates them. So whatever.
Thing to come up here and say you love Hitler, but I don't agree with that. I agree with people's First Amendment. I agree they shouldn't be penalized for it, and that's why I created a platform for that. One of the biggest things probably ever, definitely the most views we've ever had for
he doesn't have that platform anymore, I guess, huh?
one event. I mean, Endgame got watched 100 million times, like 80-something million times on Google Video before they took it down. But that that took a couple of years to do before they took it down. But this is definitely one of the biggest things we've ever done. But it just kind of, to me, was very interesting. It was thought-provoking. And, of course, we see people like Scott Adams saying, oh, I see what Ye did. He's trying to overturn the whole chessboard.
Oh, my God, dude. Yeah, they had Kanye West on. I call him Kanye West. I'm not going to call him Ye because, in my opinion, adopting the name Ye is an attempt to protect his Kanye West brand, and I'm not going to give him the courtesy of helping him protect his brand. Kanye West said that he's a Nazi, like openly loves Hitler, quote unquote. He was on Alex Jones when he said that, and he was with Nick Fuentes too, actually, right here.
You're a designer. Can we just kind of say, like, you like the uniforms, but that's about it?
There's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
And if you notice right here, Nick Fuentes nodding his head. Yep. A lot of things to love about Hitler. That's what they're talking about right now.
The naughty thing to come up here and say you love Hitler, but I don't agree with that. I agree with people's First Amendment. I agree they shouldn't be penalized for it, and that's why I created a platform for that. One of the biggest things probably ever, definitely the most views we've ever had for one event. I mean, Endgame got watched 100 million times, like 80-something million times on Google Video before they took it down, but that took a couple of years to do.
I'm not sure. Is he talking about the Kanye West thing? I don't know.
Before they took it down. But this is definitely one of the biggest things we've ever done. But it just kind of, to me, was very interesting. It was thought-provoking. And, of course, we see people like Scott Adams saying, oh, I see what Ye did.
Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert, full-blown Nazi also.
He's trying to overturn the whole chessboard. So is that really what went on? So before we have a debate or an argument, I'd like to give Nick some time to give his views. We really haven't talked much other than briefly Sunday about him coming on today, about what he thinks really went on there. Because some people thought I staged that and I was in on it or something. No, I didn't know what was going on. It's kind of
what, staged the Kanye West interview? Again, like I watched the whole thing on air. If you're interested, it's on my Unfiltered YouTube channel. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he staged it. I just think he platformed somebody that didn't deserve to be platformed. He's a monster.
Trump didn't know what was going on.
Oh, that's right, because Donald Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West shortly before or shortly after. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe it was after the Alex Jones interview.
To a greater extent, I knew who I was meeting with. And then I had seen clips of Nick saying he didn't support Hitler and actually wasn't anti-Semitic. He just didn't like what some of the Jewish mafia is doing.
Yeah, I mean, he can pretend all he wants, but no, he's a Hitler lover. He loves Hitler.
Everybody's a Nazi, doesn't agree with him. So I just kind of saw this really as an enigma of what's really going on. So uncensored, unfiltered, Nick Fuentes joins us for the next hour and 42 minutes or so. Nick, thanks for joining us. What do you want to talk about first? Or will you humor me and tell me what the hell you think happened a week and a half ago here in the studio?
Yes. Well, hello, Alex. Great to be with you. I'll humor you, and we could talk a little bit about how the show went down. For anybody that thinks it was staged, of course it wasn't. And people, they have all these ideas about where this is coming from, where Ye is coming from with these new ideas. And
he's coming from a place of mental illness. He needs to start taking bipolar medicine, really, like lithium stat. Seriously. I'm not trying to hurt his feelings or whatever, but something is very, very wrong here.
And with these kinds of things, and people have talked about mental illness, and they've said that people like me are giving him ideas or handling him.
Oh, absolutely. He is definitely giving him ideas, of course, yes.
People have speculated that the walkout on Tim Pool or the show.
Oh, I forgot about that one too. If you didn't see that, they went on Tim Pool's show, and Tim Pool's format is one where they do a back and forth and kind of debate things a little bit. Tim Pool is like sympathetic to Kanye West. He is primed to like him and listen to him and accept what he says. He was giving the lightest pushback, like Joe Rogan pushed back on Donald Trump. Well, why don't you have any evidence? You know, super like light pushback, just the nicest, most carefulest. And Kanye West just like stood up and walked out. And that was it. Because he's never had people push back on him, I guess. I don't understand I don't know of any other reason why that could have happened. So anyway, I don't think that was staged. I just think Kanye West is a snowflake who can't take any criticism.
That we did with you was staged. And I can assure you, I've been working with Ye for the last 3 weeks. Nothing is staged. And nobody can handle him. Nobody can influence him. He's his own man. And as far as the mental illness remarks goes, you know, I've met manic people before. I've known bipolar people. He's not a bipolar or an unstable.
Yes, he is.
Person. In fact, he's highly energetic, vigorous.
Yeah, dumbass. That's, you know, part of the evidence that I use to determine that he's bipolar. Now, you know what evidence I use to determine that he's bipolar? The fact that his doctors, the fact that he was open about it, the fact that he said that he's bipolar, he was diagnosed as bipolar. That's why I say he's bipolar. I'm not using my analysis. I'm using Kanye West's analysis. And, you know, and on top of that, like, he's a wreck. Kanye West is a wreck. He needs help.
Works all day, creative. I really can't say enough positive things about him. But with regards to the appearance on your show, what I've noticed is that Ye has started this conversation with the DEFCON 3 tweet about the Jews. He went
right. He said he's about to go DEFCON 3 or DEFCON, DEATH, not DEFCON as it's actually spelled. About to go DEFCON 3 on the Jews is what he said. And it was like really controversial. But ultimately, I don't think anything really came of it. People just continued on as though it never happened.
On your show, and he said that he loves Hitler. And what's, I think, the most remarkable about this is everybody is fixated on the remark. What did you mean by DEFCON 3? What did you mean by you love Hitler? What do you love about Hitler? What does DEFCON mean? Is that a threat? And so on. And he's done several interviews. He did an interview with Piers Morgan, with Lex Friedman, with Tim Pool, with you, with Gavin. And in all the interviews, it's so focused on...
I'm a bit sleepy tonight. When I wake up, I'm going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Yep, I remember that.
The Hitler. It's focused on the Jewish. And for a lot of people, they might say, oh, well, of course, that's an outrageous thing to say. It's so provocative. And maybe that was the intention. Maybe it was about publicity. Maybe it was staged. But if you listen to what the man is saying, he has said, what got us to this point? I think that it's almost, it says something in itself that the conversation is about the remark rather than all the, in my opinion, far more outrageous things going on all around.
Rather than, so it says way more about the fact that this guy is calling out Jewish people and calling them like evil and shit. Why is that more important than the fact that the Jews are doing all this stuff? It's like, bro, what is wrong with you? You are the problem right now. This is exactly what Hitler said. This exact stuff.
Which is that right now the ADL is shaking down Congress for $500 million.
Okay, look. First of all, the ADL sucks. I don't like the ADL. I have no love for them, obviously. They're terrible. They say that any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. That's really stupid. But that's just like a lobbying group. Their job is to lobby for a nation. AIPAC is another lobbying group. Their job is to lobby for a nation. Well, you know, ADL may not be a lobbying group, but you get the idea. They are lobbying for specific countries. And in my opinion, the real problem isn't, well, it is that, but more importantly, I think the problem is that these groups like the ADL and stuff like that, I think that the problem with this is not that they're lobbying for Israel so much as Israel considers itself an ethno-state, a religio-ethno-state. Like, it's a country made for Jews by Jews, and nobody else should be in power under any circumstances. I mean, I think that they say that people can live in Israel if they would like other people if they want, but no one else should be in a position of authority there. That's destructive. I didn't like it when South Africa separated people by race. I didn't like it when the United States separated people by race. I didn't like it when Germany separated people by race. And I sure as shit don't like it when Israel separates people by race. So that's my problem over anything. It's an apartheid state. It's not that there are lobbying groups. I don't like lobbying groups or whatever else. And a lot of the things that those groups say is really stupid. But we need to break up this lobbying group. I'm sorry. We need to break up this apartheid state so it's not apartheid anymore, in my opinion. Anyway, yeah, he's complaining about like AIPAC and the ADL and everything else. Yeah, I have those same complaints, but I'm not claiming that it's some like Jewish conspiracy to control the world or some shit. And I'm not saying that I love Hitler as a result. If you take a step back and think about what he's saying, he's justifying what the Nazis did to the Jews by pointing out that AIPAC exists.
I don't know if people realize that. Submitted an appropriations request in response to the interview we did. Now, you've got, whether you thought it was entertaining, whether you thought it was revolutionary, you have Ye with a mask on, with a yoo-hoo and a net saying, I love Hitler, and the ADL shaking the cup with Congress. We need $500 million to fight anti-Semitism. It's outrageous. He's been banned.
I'm not sure what those things have to do with each other, but okay.
From the bank, he's had his deals shut down by Nike and Adidas to the tune of billions of dollars over 10 years. And the list goes on and on.
Yeah, and why do you think that is? People don't want to work with Nazis, full-blown, self-avowed Nazis. Kanye West basically said, I am a Nazi. I love Hitler. It doesn't get clearer than that. No one wants to work with Nazis. I'm sorry that hurts your feelings. That's just what it is. I wouldn't want to work with a KKK member either. I'd have no interest in working with them. In fact, if I found out that, like, I don't know, if I ran a company, which I don't, but if I did, and I had an employee that was a member of the KKK and I found out, yeah, I'd fire his ass, no question. He'd be gone, the moment I found out. That's not persecution, okay? I'm not persecuting this KKK member on his religious beliefs or some other stupid shit. He's a scumbag. He's a racist piece of trash, and he deserves to be fired from his job for it. Don't let him flip this around so that the KKK member or the Nazi is the victim.
I hear what you're saying, but then that's what people ask, and I don't think this is the case. That is Ye secretly like an ADL operative to get them funding. So we're going to talk about.
Oh, please. Did people really say that? It wouldn't surprise me.
About that when we come back. I guess what I want to say here is Alex Jones, and this being my broadcast is, I really didn't know that Ye was going to come here and do that. I didn't.
Oh, yes, he did. Kanye West had been talking about loving Hitler for a while before he showed up on Alex Jones's thing. Let me just show you some examples before Alex Jones. There are a bunch of other examples, but here are just two.
For the Jewish people, what I'm doing is I'm Me Tooing the Jewish culture. I'm saying, y'all got to stand up and admit to what y'all been doing. And y'all just got away with it for so long that y'all don't even realize what y'all doing. And it's like, y'all can't fuck with me either because y'all behind that gated fence, y'all soft, your hands got soft. You ain't out here getting beat up every day like me.
Yeah, you see Kanye West gets beat up every day.
You ain't out here getting called crazy every day like me.
Bro, stop being crazy, and maybe people will stop calling you crazy. You ever knock that one around the old noggin?
You ain't out here getting your family snatched like me. You ain't out here...
Because Kim Kardashian divorced him because he's bipolar and refused to take medicine. That's the Jews snatching his children.
Half your culture getting aborted like me. You ain't out here getting outraged with false narratives like BLM like me. So for all the Jewish media, y'all want to sit down and have a conversation with me? Then let's have a conversation. But you ain't gonna send Harley Pasternak, Puff Daddy, Meek Mills, Kim Kardashian.
Wow, I didn't realize he mentioned P. Diddy there. That's interesting.
none of the usual suspects and get me to stop talking. You're going to have to take my life. I don't care if you Black Mirror me. I don't care if you do some of the alternative, what the thing was, show me talking, saying somebody didn't say. I don't care if you have me fucking a goat on camera.
Okay, that's an oddly specific fear right there, isn't it? Who brought that up? Who brought that into the conversation? I certainly didn't.
I don't care what you do. You're going to have, yeah. And by the way, and if you take my life, there's going to be some college kid, some young Ye, some young Pac that's going to even go harder. It's going to, y'all thought George Floyd was going to send it up. If you took my life right now.
Brother, nobody's trying to take your life, okay? Take your medicine. I'm begging you. For your kids' sake. You are ruining their lives and their reputation right now by being a scumbag like this. Take medicine.
You're going to see something you never saw. So
anyway, this is pre-Alex Jones. Not to mention the Tim Pool appearance. I mean, Alex Jones had him on his show so that he could debate whether Hitler was good. Don't tell me you didn't know he was going to say that shit. Of course you knew.
The thing about it, me and Adidas, it's like...
Because he had a deal with Adidas for the Yeezy shoe line, and it was like $1 billion deal. Kanye West was worth like $1.5 billion. He was a billionaire. And it all fell apart after he said all this stuff. He said, Adidas can't do shit to me. And Adidas canceled the deal. Oh my God, it was crazy. Mad respect to Adidas for canceling the deal, right?
I could literally say anti-Semitic shit and they can't drop me. I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me.
So he recognizes and admits that the things that he's saying are anti-Semitic then, right? Is what you're telling me?
Now what? Now what?
So yeah, that didn't end well for him. They dropped him. Anyway, yeah, that's all that shit happened before he went on Alex Jones. So don't give me that shit.
I know that Nick Fuentes was going to agree with him. I understand their First Amendment. I understand when the ADL on the left says it's inherently racist and evil to be white or to be
What? What? Who said that? Who said it's inherently racist to be white? I know, like, Jews were not always viewed as white, but, you know, a lot Ashkenazi Jews, a lot of them are white. Why would a Jewish lobbying group complain about people being white? What? You can't just leave it at the ADL is doing some questionable things and accusing people of being things that they're not. You have to take it an additional insane step.
Christian that they've crossed that Rubicon and basically become what they say Hitler was. So at that point, you know, Ye isn't taking people's bank accounts away and spying on folks on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and wanting $500 million from Congress for this hate task force to basically silence anybody that criticizes any of the leftist operations. So I don't like any of that. I'm a big enemy of it. The ADL singles me out at their big events and wants me destroyed.
Like, the ADL is not a left-wing group. It's not a right-wing group. It is a solely Israeli group, and it's important to differentiate between Israeli and Jewish. Israel is a self-proclaimed Jewish state, which means that it's an apartheid state. If it's Jewish, then it's apartheid by definition. That's all. That's the only thing that they have loyalty to. The ADL is like the Israeli Jewish state. That's it. Which, you know, as a lobbying group, I get it, but that's wrong. That's not how things should operate. That's not how society should function or whatever.
My only frustration is I legitimately, Nick, have studied World War II and also had family that was in World War II.
Yeah, I studied the shit out of World War II recently for my book, Was Hitler an Atheist? Amazon and Audible. I know so much about this subject, it's crazy.
And know that a bunch of the top Nazis tried to kill Hitler, like Erwin Rommel and people. And
Rommel? I know there are 42 assassination attempts on Hitler's life, and about 20 of them are worth talking about because they had, you know, only 20 had a chance of working or whatever. I'm not familiar with the Rommel one. The big one was Stauffenberg. on July 20th, 1944.
That Stalin admired Hitler and all the rest of this. I don't like Stalin either. And so just because what was done to Germans was wrong in World War I and
What? What was done to Germans in World War I that was wrong? I don't understand. You know what he's talking about? Wow, this is wild. This is a Nazi talking point that Alex Jones is laying out for us here. World War I started when Austria, south of Germany, they had like Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He was assassinated by some Serbs. And Austria decided to go into Serbia to claim the territory. Germany sees what Austria is doing. They're like, okay, good a time as any to invade. They go through Luxembourg and another country that's between Germany and France. Bavaria, or is it Belgium? I don't remember. I always get the two confused. Anyway, Germany goes into those countries and then continues on to France and takes parts of France. They all became like really, really imperialistic, trying to take new property. And Germany had very clearly lost the war at a certain point, World War I. So they sent a delegation of people to the front lines to make a deal with France and the other countries involved. The treaty was called the Treaty of Versailles. At that moment, the monarchy that existed in Germany collapsed and a new government, a democracy formed, the Weimar Republic. And it was almost identical to the United States in how it operates. They had a Congress building with congressmen, Reichstag is what it's called. They even had something similar to senators, the upper chamber. It was they were called Reichsrat. They were appointed by states, I believe. They had a president and the whole nine. So anyway, it operated very similarly. Germany was not the victim here, okay? They were the perpetrators. The Treaty of Versailles demanded that they pay back, I forget what $92 billion in today's money, I think. And they also aren't allowed to have an army bigger than 100,000 men. And a certain number of like planes and stuff like that. And that was the basis for the complaint about how they were being, and that complaint was the basis of World War II. They said, we're being mistreated by the Treaty of Versailles. We need to abolish it and invade a bunch of countries again. That was the Nazi position. They believed that their manhood had been stripped from them. Their pride had been trampled upon. The Nazis did in World War I. So they started World War II, effectively.
And
I think they paid off Versailles relatively recently, 2010, I think. Wow, I did not realize it was so recent. Yeah, it was a lot of money for Germany at the time, certainly.
There were also war crimes against Germans. In my view, let's just get to Hitler.
War crimes against Germans? I'm not sure why we're even, okay, yeah, I mean, everybody was suffering at the time, but Germany was imperialistic, so they were the aggressors.
In my view, let's just get the Hitler thing out of the way. Do you actually admire Adolf Hitler?
Of course he does.
In some ways, yes.
See? This is the your body, my choice guy right here. By the way, Nick Fuentes, he pepper sprayed some woman. I'll be talking about that on Sunday, probably.
And I'm not a National Socialist, and I'm not...
Oh, bullshit. National Socialist, by the way, is the full name of the Nazi Party. The National Socialist German Workers' Party, the NSDAP is the abbreviation.
In some ways, yes. And I'm not a National Socialist, and I'm not I wouldn't identify that way because I'm a Christian. So I'm not any kind of a socialist or a fascist. I like Ye, believe we should have a Christian government. It's a Christian country. God runs the world. We should have a government in accordance with that. But honestly, I don't share this histrionic Jewish view that Hitler is this exceptionally boogeyman, evil figure. The 20th century is full of violence. The 20th century is full of authoritarian ideologies run rampant, and that's a product of modernism and liberalism and all kinds of trends. But this idea that my life is in any way impacted by Hitler, I have a...
Well, here's the problem with it. I'll tell you. Let me lay it out. A lot of people view Hitler in a very black and white way, through a black and white lens. They view the Nazis as very black and white, like they're evil. They're flat out evil. They were just evil people. There's no nuance to this whatsoever. And in my opinion, that's bad that people view it that way. It's harmful because they don't realize that this could happen to anybody. Nazism is not an on-off switch. You're not a Nazi one day and not a Nazi the next day. It doesn't work that way. It comes in degrees. And the defining qualities of Nazism, in my opinion, around the world is racism, is deep-seated white supremacy, hatred for a group of people solely based on the color of their skin or their ethnicity or whatever. Now, the Nazis fabricated racial categories that aren't real. Aryans are not real. They were never real. It's not a real designation. It's not people aren't separated that way. And Semites are also not, there's no common origin between the Semitic people. So they made up fake, racial categories, but it was all based on racism in the end. The United States has a ton of people that use the folkish ideology, that use the kind of the belief system that white people are superior or that Christians are superior. For the Nazis that didn't really buy into the whole racist aspect of it, there were, for example, Christians who believed that anybody can come to Jesus and be saved. They refused to accept non-Aryans anyway, and they called themselves folkish. It's like the folk and the folkish are like race and racist kind of. They're similar, but not exactly right, because the folkish people are ordained by God. They're chosen by God in a supernatural way to be special and to control the area, to control the world. So racism was a quality of Nazism. The defining feature is the point here. If there's a racist movement, then it has something in common with Nazism, is what I'm getting to here.
Hitler, I have a lot more animosity for the ADL. I have a lot more animosity for the ZOA. I have a lot more animosity for the groups that have actually made my life and the life of my family materially worse personally.
Well, why did they make your life worse? Exactly. What was it? In what way did they make it worse? They made your life worse by criticizing you, by using their free speech to point out that you're a fucking monster. Now, why did they say that exactly? They pointed out that he's a monster because he's endorsing Hitler, saying he likes Hitler. He likes the things that Hitler did, and he respects him. There's nothing respectable about Hitler. Nothing. I do wish people would stop viewing Nazis in through a black and white lens, though, because it makes it harder for them to realize or accept that it could happen here. And it does. It is. It has happened in the United States, this extremist, nutty stuff.
And across the board with the society, I'm sick of being expected by Jewish media and Holocaust museums to beat my chest like you kind of did the other week and say, oh, I hate Hitler. Hitler's a...
Bro, you don't have to do that. I'm not asking you to beat your chest and say you hate Hitler. I'm asking you to not talk about how fantastic and correct Hitler was, is all. Holy shit.
It's like this weird, it's like 1984, when they put the face on the TV and everybody's got to get all wound up.
But no one has to get wound up. No, you don't even have to talk about this issue if you don't want. And if you do talk about it, then I expect you to get your facts correct because it's a sensitive subject. He doesn't get his facts correct. He comes in and spreads lies about the subject and pretends that he's just asking questions. I asked questions about Germany in the Nazi era, and I had those questions answered. Simple as that. It's not questions he's asking, it's statements he's making veiled to look like they're in the form of a question.
You're
talking about 10 minutes.
figure.
You're talking about 10 minutes of hate. Well, I legitimately hate Stalin, hate Mao, hate Hitler, hate the ADL, hate Barack Obama, hate the Democratic Party. And I've always, remember me on Piers Morgan? I didn't get a call from the ADL when I was on Piers Morgan, the most popular thing he ever did, the biggest thing CNN did that year. They had the ratings. They had 50 million viewers for that. Their average show had 10 million back then. And I said, Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns.
This is a lie, what he's laying out here, that Hitler took the guns, and if they hadn't taken the guns, then the Jews would have been safe. It's just bullshit. That's not true.
And if you try to take our guns, 1776 will commence again. I've always criticized Hitler. I've made documentaries about the Bush family helping fund Hitler and the British royalty. So
I don't know that any of this is true. I've never heard that before.
Here we have a sticking point is that Alex got the call as you sent out on social media. And I'm just curious, do you think I actually got a call to come out and criticize Hitler? You think that's a new thing for me?
No, I know that you're very vocally anti-Hitler over the years. I know that you're.
Oh, no, that's interesting. So they got a screenshot of Nick Fuentes saying Alex Jones got the call, the Jewish call to criticize Hitler. I love that. I love that Alex Jones called him out on that.
More of a libertarian, and so you have this view of history which lumps in together Mao, Stalin, Hitler as authoritarians versus freedom fighters, capitalists, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. So I'm familiar with your show and all of that, and honestly, it was a little bit glib. You called me baby Hitler. I said you got a call. Quite honestly, it's banter, but it is well known that you don't really talk about this issue. You're more talking about New World Order, Bill Gates, and these sort of obscure conspiracy theories like Bilderberg. My show's.
Wow. Did he just call it a conspiracy theory? He certainly doesn't believe it's a conspiracy, right? I mean, Nick Fuentes, he thinks that all this is true, right?
A lot more focused on, what you might call the Jewish question, which is what are we to do about the.
Right. The Jewish question is the same, basically, as the immigrant problem. It's the same thing, saying the same thing. What do we do about the immigrant problem? What do we do about the Jewish question? The Jewish question is just the way that it was phrased in literature from the time. I didn't know what the Jewish question was for a long time. That's why I explained.
Of obscure conspiracy theories like Bilderberg. My show's a lot more focused on, what you might call the Jewish question, which is what are we to do about this Jewish elite, these Jewish gangsters that run our Christian country?
I think that's a debate that should be had, because there's no doubt that leftism and the whole globalist power grab has wrapped itself in Judaism as its defense.
This is ridiculous, dude. It's even more ridiculous now that, like, Israel is attacked Palestine, and we've seen Israel cater to Trump and support Trump and the far right and everything else.
And I would call the FTX folks and the federal regulators who all, involved in this basically are Jewish, who are out there doing that are.
Holy shit, dude. The bankers are Jewish. The bankers and the regulators are all Jewish, according to Alex Jones. No, get a grip.
Criminals who happen to be Jewish who are hiding behind Judaism, but I don't then blame the average Jew for that. So I think that's the difference. Kind of like when Ye and you were on with Gavin McInnes, and he's like, well, blacks commit as proportionate more crime than the other group, but you don't just blame the average black person. Do you just not trust a Jew when they come in the room? And Ye goes, yeah, I don't,
yeah, I have that clip. That's pretty much spot on.
Me, that's what I'm saying is I do believe in Martin Luther King, that we judge individuals by who they are and what they do, not by what color they are or where they're from. But go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that in principle, but we also have to understand that it's not that these people happen to be Jewish. I think that's the big source of the disagreement.
This is more Nazi propaganda, the claim that Jews have like a network of fellow Jews that they work with to support each other and to further their own goals and everything, and it's just bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'm very integrated into the atheist community, obviously. I have been for many years. I know all of the heads of all the foundations, American Atheists. I know the president and the board members, every board member I know, and I've known them for years. I talk to them on a regular basis. The people at FFRF, the lawyer, I know all of them. And so my wife goes to law school, and when she started law school, I contacted a lawyer that I know from FFRF just to talk to her, just say, hey, when my wife's starting law school, you have any advice for her? And he's like, yeah, just give me your email and I'll talk to her. And he did, he emailed her and they just chatted about like things to expect in law school, what to do next and what she should focus on and things. And he kind of followed her through law school. She's done as of like in a few weeks, she'll be done with law school completely. Anyway, just that one person helped her kind of get more integrated into the community and work with others. And as a result, she got a job in the atheist community among a nonprofit. That happened because she knew me and I knew this person and this person knew that group and this board member and everything. And it all kind of came together like that. That's how networking works. Everybody does that. Networking is how 95% of the people in Hollywood got their positions on TV shows or whatever. Networking is how the world works. This isn't like unique to the Jewish community. They're like plotting together to control this stuff and keep the man down or whatever they're talking about.
Is these are what we're told in the last few weeks when Ye makes these remarks about the Jewish media or Jewish Hollywood or so on is, well, these are individuals. These are people that we've got to name them individually. And these are.
Yeah. The person that I contacted just to like ask if he had any advice for my wife, he's just an individual. He wasn't talking to her as like a, like an FFRF lawyer or something. He was just a friend, that's it. And this individual knew another individual who he messaged and said, hey, do you blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just individual to individual. That's how it works. There is not a secret network behind the scenes pulling strings for people or whatever. It's just delusion.
People that happen to be bad, or rather they are bad and happen to be Jewish. But I think there's something about their Jewishness that makes it this way. And I think.
Yeah, this is another Nazi talking point that non-Aryans are inherently bad. They can't be good. Even if you were raised as a Christian in a Christian home or adopted by Christians or whatever, it's your blood that makes you bad. That's a Nazi talking point all the way down. I mean, this is just Nazi shit that he's talking about here. Yeah, that's our complaint. He's admitting it.
These are people that we've got to name them individually, and these are people that happen to be bad, or rather they are bad and happen to be Jewish. But I think there's something about their Jewishness that makes it this way.
By the way, people talking about being a loner. Yeah, I'm a loner too. The only reason that I know anybody is because I tripped and face planted into YouTube. Like, I just got on here and started doing it, and I hit the exact right subject at the exact right moment, and it exploded. And now people want to know me. That's why I had any idea who any of these people were. They wouldn't have talked to me otherwise. So anyway, I'm a loner too, for what that's worth.
And I think that is really the source of the disagreement. My morality is not bound up in this authoritarian versus freedom thing. It's about God versus the devil. And the curious fact about the Jewish religion, which all the Jewish people that came to America in the last century as immigrants were religious. When the people came over at Ellis Island in the late 19th and early 20th century, they came from these rabbinical communities. They were all very religious. And so you've got all the Jews in America, elite, not elite. They're 1, 2, or 3 generations removed from these very religious, rabbinical Jewish communities. What's curious about the Jewish religion is it's the only one that has an extreme antipathy for Jesus Christ. Muslims revere Jesus as a prophet.
It's the only religion that, when he says antipathy, what does he mean by antipathy exactly? I thought that meant just don't really care. Oh, no, okay, my mistake. A deep-seated feeling of dislike or aversion. I don't think Jews just dislike or hate Jesus or whatever. They just don't believe it.
Buddhists, Hindus, they review Jesus as a wise teacher.
No, they don't.
We all agree that Jesus existed.
No, not everybody agrees with that. And even if many people do agree with that, they don't necessarily agree that he was like holy or whatever, that he was like divine or whatever. But okay, whatever. Jews are uniquely bad for that reason, right? He's coming up with a reason why Jews are uniquely bad. This is just Nazi shit.
It's only the Jews that say that Jesus is burning in hell, boiling in semen and excrement, and say that his mother is a whore. And so you take these people that come from Europe and...
Brother, what are you talking about? You think that all Jews believe that Jesus is like burning in hell or whatever the fuck? Is that what he said? I mean, hell is not a part of the Jewish religion, so...
And again, it's their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren who are now in charge of the elite institutions.
Well, sure. I mean, Nick, I'll say this. Ethan Klein came out on his huge podcast and said...
the H3H3 podcast.
I would murder Jesus again. Jews should, basically kill Christians. And you didn't say kill Jews. So he went further than you and Ye, and no one decried it. And that is wrong. He said...
They very obviously feel that way, that Jews should be killed. It's clear as day, right? They just don't want to come out and say that because it could look really bad on them.
I'm Jewish. I want to kill Jesus again. We should kill Jesus. We should basically kill Christians. And when he said it was like cute and funny and the media loved it. You didn't.
No, he got in a lot of trouble for that. I remember. Ethan Klein is Jewish, and he was being sarcastic, flippant, and he said that. Yeah, people did not like that.
call for violence against anybody. So on a scale of me disagreeing with you, you're a 1, and Klein and the ADL are a 10. Look, I'm not friends with the ADL. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that any authoritarian movement, I think, is extremely dangerous. And we're not faced with Hitler today. We're faced with the ADL and other authoritarian movements.
Oh, please, dude. Look, the ADL is bad, really bad. I agree. But it's not like Hitler in any way, shape, or form, not even close. Israel has a culture that very closely mirrors the culture leading up to World War II in Germany. The far right in the United States is very much like the folkish movement in Germany in like 1933. The ADL isn't like that. You don't have to call everything bad Hitler. If it's not Hitler, it's not Hitler.
So I think coming out and invoking Hitler almost gives those groups cover. And now, as you said, they're trying to get $500 million from Congress.
I don't even know that's true. I don't know what they're talking about, but okay.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think maybe that's more of a tactical disagreement. And I told you over the weekend, maybe this is my youth. You know, I'm willing to humble myself and say I'm young and zealous and idealistic, as everybody can relate to that. But I do think I might be onto something here, which is that we've watched for 20, 30 years and things just keep getting worse.
And it's the Jews' fault, of course, right? In his mind? Get help, Nick. This is not natural. Do you know that hate based on race or skin color or whatever, that's programmed into people. That's not something you're born with. Yeah, sure, people have a tendency to like others that like the same things as them or whatever, but do you hate people that have green eyes more than those with blue eyes? Of course not. You don't even pay attention. Oh, hey, cool, green eyes. That's nice. That's as far as it goes. It is programmed in. This hatred, this racism, it's programmed in. You are not born with it.
And we saw what happened in 2020. The election was stolen. The whole first term was rigged.
Complete bullshit, but okay.
And Trump comes back even weaker than before. And I'm like, when are we going to confront head on the fundamental problems? When are we going to head on?
All right, stay there. We'll talk about what you think the fundamental problems are when we come back. And then I'll give you my response to that and more. Nick Fuentes is our guest. We're having a debate. We're having a discussion here, which the system doesn't want, but we're having it, and it's
like anybody gives a shit. You can have this conversation. I mean, I'm listening to the conversation. If the system didn't want us to have this conversation, then we wouldn't be able to, right? Like, what?
Unfiltered, uncensored. He's saying whatever he wants. I'm saying whatever I want. All right. Remember, we're still on over 400 radio stations. That's why we have 14 minutes of ads an hour, the industry standard. Though I do enjoy doing a lot of the commercial-free podcast that you find at band.video as well. We did a 3-hour one commercial-free.
Wow, 14 minutes of ads per hour. I guess that makes you like respect YouTube a little more, right? Because you don't get anywhere near that many ads on YouTube. It's still frustrating when I get ads. Rumble is terrible about ads. With YouTube, I don't really insert them. I have somebody to check and make sure that they're in there, but YouTube auto inserts them for me, really. So, and it's the same with my podcast, like my audio podcast. I don't touch them. In fact, I can't. I tried the other day because somebody said I had a lot of ads in there. I tried to modify where they're placed. It won't let me. So, yeah.
This last Saturday, with a major whistleblower from the Wuhan lab, the vice president of EcoHealth Alliance, proving Fauci created the bioweapon and released.
Proving it. No, it's not. That didn't happen.
And more. So incredibly important and why the system wants us shut down. Now, Nick Fuentes,
such a victim,
is here with us, and he said going after Bill Gates and the Bilderberg Group is kind of this esoteric, little-known thing, but he's going up.
No, he said it's a conspiracy, and it is. It's a conspiracy
against the Jews. Well, I mean, folks, in case you've woken up and looked around, the entire WEF is calling the shots. The big mega banks are running the show.
This is not true. I'm not sure what he means by the big mega banks are running the show. What show specifically are they running? Yes, they are powerful. What do you think they control? And what do you think the World Economic Forum controls? It doesn't control like anything. It's just like a group of people that got together and contact billionaires around the world, China and everywhere else, and they tell them, hey, if we have $50 million, we can stop this polio outbreak in the Congo. So these rich people that they invite to their conference or whatever, pool their money, say 30, 50 billionaires get together, they contribute $1 million each, and they stop this polio outbreak. That's the World Economic Forum. That's what it is. Why is that bad? I'll tell you why this conspiracy theory started with the WEF. This isn't the subject of the video, but just to touch on it. When COVID hit, the WEF said this is an opportunity to reset global economies to be more beneficial to the poor and to basically to divert wealth from the very rich to the poor. And just like overnight, just like that, seemingly out of nowhere, a conspiracy theory arose from the ashes about the WEF pulling strings like puppet masters and how they're run by Jews and shit. So anyway, in my opinion, this is my personal low-stakes conspiracy theory. The filthy rich people who were involved in the WEF got pissed off with them because they said they want to make the economies more beneficial to the poor. And they kind of funded these conspiracy theories in an astroturfed way. But who knows?
Coming after our bodies, they're trying new lockdowns, new forced injections. That is not some esoteric little side issue.
Yeah, it is. It's a lie. The whole thing is a lie.
That we're covering. In fact, no one was really covering it until we started hammering it in the last 28 years. So I'm very proud of that. And that's what my films and books like The Great Reset and The War for the World are about.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God, dude. The Great Reset is such a confusing conspiracy theory because it didn't start with anything. It was like Obamagate. What the fuck is Obamagate? What are you talking about? It's meaningless. It's nothing. It's made up on the spot. But Trump says, well, I have a lot of evidence on Obama that he was doing some things that weren't good. Obamagate, hashtag Obamagate. And just like that, Obamagate explodes. Like, what is that? What is the Great Reset? Nobody had any idea until they start filtering little bits of information here or there. It's nonsense all the way down.
Now, I'm not saying Nick Fuentes doesn't have a right to say what he's saying or bring up what he's saying, because separately, the ADL is brainwashing school children on record that
the ADL
being white is inherently bad.
On record? What are you talking about? Nobody is saying being white is bad. Nobody has said that. I'm just like, I am lost. Where did he get this? Who told him this?
And teaching kindergartners and first graders, they are bad because they're white. Well, I mean, Hitler taught people were bad because of what group they were. So
this isn't happening.
I'm like, I see the ADL as Hitler, and then people that are supposedly opposing it say, well, Hitler, compared to them is good. That's where I have the real breaking point. And so I asked the question earlier.
The ADL is nothing like Hitler. They're bad, but they're not like Hitler. This is where the black and white thing comes in.
And I want you to be able to get back into your point about the power structure and what you're doing. You'll have the floor for a few minutes. I'll shut up. But what about what I asked earlier that I forgot to get back to? The ADL wants $500 million. They want more control over society because of Kanye West, Ye's little comments here. I get he's obviously not a threat. He doesn't control people's bank accounts. That's a joke. But then people say, is Ye really working for them to first wear a red hat, say
God, this is so stupid, dude.
He's a Trump supporter, and now come out and do this? I've been around him. I've talked to him a lot for a long time, and I really don't think that's the case. Just to clear this up, I saw some of your supporters saying, Nick is so nice and got Kanye to his office and got him on air and introduced him to Kanye and to Ye, and then Jones did all that to poor Nick. I've been talking to Ye for a long time. He never come on the show. I gave his number to other folks to come on, to Milo Yiannopoulos. He got Nick Fuentes in touch with him. So people want to blame me for this whole fiasco. I guess I'm involved. But that was me saying, here, get him on their shows. That's fine. Go where you want to go. They wanted to talk to him. I gave him the number for all of the groypers out there that are living in La La Land.
Right. Groypers are Nick Fuentes' little weird group of believers.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Beliebers, which are Justin Bieber fans. Very different.
So that's another little point I want to get to. Now I'm going to shut up. But what about this issue of him actually being the biggest fundraiser ever for the ADL? What do you say to that?
Well, I would say it's ridiculous. I think anybody that knows Ye knows that he doesn't work for anybody other than God, and his
totally
actions prove that. And I think if you've had a conversation with him for more than 10 minutes, you know that he's one of the most authentic, sincere people I've ever met. And like I said, people that meet him for 10 minutes, they come up and hug him in the street. They know that. As far as him being a fundraiser for the ADL, it flies in the face of the fact that if there were no ADL, he would be leading a great awakening. But it was the ADL that wants to shut him down.
I mean, the ADL wants to stop anti-Semitism. They're not a government, and they don't have broad-reaching powers to force people to stop whatever. It's not like government overreach. It's just a lobbying group trying to accomplish a goal. Nick Fuentes is a lobbying group in his own right, effectively, right?
The ADL was so in love with what he was doing. Why would they go to Twitch, as an example, and say that any streamer that platforms Ye on their channel is going to get banned, and have Twitch remind everybody, tap at the sign and say,
wait, the ADL organized an effort to have Kanye West banned? Well, first of all, that's like against Twitch's terms of service. It has been all along to attack or denigrate a group based solely on like their ethnicity or their skin color or whatever. That's existed for a long time. Are you complaining that the ADL is reporting people to Twitch because of their, because someone is violating their terms of service? I don't understand. What's the problem here?
We prohibit hatred, we prohibit hate speech, and so on. The ADL is working overtime to make sure that he's deplatformed from Twitter, deplatformed from Twitch, that nobody can have him on their show. If it was really such a benefit to them, you'd think that they'd be going around promoting that stuff.
Yeah, he's not an ADL shill. That's just ridiculous.
And that gets back to
no, that's why I raised the point. I know I don't think he works for the ADL, and I agree with you.
Right. And it gets back to the point which I was making before the break, which is that there is this, I think, very pernicious mindset that a lot of people have, that if you start to really go after the power structure, if you really say, you know what, it's Jewish gangsters, you know what, it's the Zionists, it's Israel, people have this idea in their head that there's something that's not clever or not subtle about this, that we've got to hide and be careful and play games. I don't want to play games. That's why I'm up with Ye, because Ye's not playing games anymore.
He's not playing games. Okay.
Know that Ye's not going to be at the Republican Jewish Coalition retreat in Vegas begging the Jews to endorse them for the 24 run. I know he's not going to be at the ZOA begging the Zionists for their favor, for their patronage in the race like Trump did. I know he's not going to take $100 million from Sheldon Adelson and do all kinds of favors for Israel and leave Christians and white Americans out to dry.
FYI, this clip came out in 2022, so I believe this is before the October 7th attack on Israel, before all the Gaza stuff started.
So, we have to have the fight. Eventually, we've got to lean in and go in. We're in a war, not, of course, violently, but we've got to lean in and actually fight on the battlefield and have the confrontation. So many people in politics want to rationalize, and this isn't you, because you're a courageous man, and we love you. We see you as an uncle, quite
okay.
Honestly, I've been watching you since I was in high school, and all the Groypers have. We love you. But there are a lot of people in the institutions who are going to rationalize their cowardice by saying, oh, that's just not smart to say that. Oh, well, it wasn't strategic to say that.
Okay, strategic aside, you're a piece of shit if you spread Hitler's ideas. What's wrong with you? Again, I'll say this again for the record. I believe that Israel has perpetuated a mindset that is very similar to the folkish mindset from Germany in the early 1900s. They've fostered a mindset against Arabs like that. And as a result, you can find Israeli quote-unquote processing centers or camps where they have concentrated large numbers of people and they abuse them and torture them. There are cases recorded that you can look up where people had their hands bound by like Israeli military at these places, and they had them bound for so long that they had to amputate them. Israel is doing the same shit that the Germans did right now. I can't stress that enough.
Well, at some point, whether it be now, then, later, we've got to say, you know what? The Jews are not going to control the destiny of America. Israel can no longer control the destiny of America. 1776 happened because we wanted to break away from a country thousands of miles away, dictating to us what was happening in our own country. But now we're subordinating ourselves to Israel in exactly the same way.
Well, sure, Nick. I mean, sure. So let me have a few minutes now. There's no doubt that there's foreign powers and
I mean, every country is trying to influence the United States, of course. So it's not like they're pulling strings like puppet masters. That's not what's happening. They're just trying to get more money from the United States, and disappointingly, there are a lot of people in the US, Joe Biden included, that identify as like people who think that the Jews, or let me rephrase, people that think that Jews deserve to control the entire region around Israel, including Palestinian land. So, yeah.
Corporations controlling America. And there's no doubt that there's a couple different big Jewish lobbies that are powerful. And there's the Chi-Com lobby and a bunch of
Oh, my God, Chi-Com.
other lobbies. But when you said earlier, well, you cover Bill Gates and the WEF and some obscure, stuff. Those guys literally have penetrated the governments, the cabinets. They're running things. They want a eugenics, depopulation, world government
Oh, my God. Eugenics, depopulation, blah, blah, blah. Get help, for real. Nobody is trying to, like, eugenics anybody or depopulate the earth or whatever.
operation. And if you actually look who fills it up, it's a bunch of former, Nazis, grandkids, and German royalty. And I'm not saying it's a Nazi conspiracy.
Dude, I don't have any idea what he's talking about. Like, get help, Alex.
I'm saying the real power structure is a scientific transhumanist movement. And while we're all down here battling over all these different ethnic systems, they are taking over. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay, I can appreciate the fact that he doesn't think there's a secret network of Jews taking advantage of people, at least.
Yeah, and I understand that. I just think that a lot of it is obfuscation. I think that, like, for example, the World Economic Forum is a forum. And when you look at who goes to Davos for the retreat,
Davos is where they do the whole Great Reset thing, where they do the whole WEF thing, where all the billionaires meet up to discuss what they can do to better the world.
it's all the top government leaders, it's all the business leaders, and they all are beholden to Jewish interests. So that'd be like saying, we're going to hold...
Beholden to Jewish interests? You mean they have stock investments or whatever? Yeah.
The conference in a Sheraton hotel and say the Sheraton hotel is the problem, not the people occupying it and giving the speeches and their background.
Sure, but I mean, the Bilderberg Group is the most powerful organization in the world from our research. The World
Oh my God, these Jewish conspiracies, dude.
Economic Forum is their mouthpiece. So when we say that, I mean, this is
Give me a break, dude. This is George Soros. He's just a Jewish dude who survived the Holocaust. He's not he's not conspiring to take anybody down or whatever. Like, get help.
This is the real supreme mafia, in my view. George Soros is there, all this. So let me raise this. You bring up the head of the ADL going on programs, and here's a clip saying, well, since Ye says we have power, we had to use our power and crush him. Why would he even say that? Talk about a dog whistle.
Because he's being flippant, if this is even real. Because he's joking. Because he's pointing out how ridiculous this is. It's obviously sarcasm, but I guess they don't understand what sarcasm is, apparently. Anyway, I told you to think about it in the comments.